Okay. Today we are looking into premium. Premium is a lump sum of money paid by the lessee to the lessor in order to enjoy a lesser rent or other benefits. So if you are paying a premium, that means you will not be paying the market rent. The normal rent order, the rent person in that area, if the rent person in that area is 50,000 naira, so long as you have paid a premium, you have made a premium, a lump sum of money to your landlord, you'll be paying a lesser rent. That is what premium is. Now, to determine premium, there will always be a fight between the landlord and the tenant. How much am I paying as premium? That is one. If I have to pay this amount of premium, how much should I pay as rent? That is another thing. So now, as a valuer, you have to represent the interest of your client. It might be the lessor that has called you, which is, let's say, the landlord. If the landlord has called you to value his property and determine the rent, the premium to be paid on this, you are representing the landlord. If you are representing the tenant as well, if the tenant has called you, Oga Vala, please help me with this. How should I go about this? If the lessee has called you as well, you are representing his own interest. Now, you as most time, the lessee, their own premium, when they do their calculation, their own premium is always lesser. Why the lessor? Their own premium is always higher. It's just a normal thing, the normal way of life. You, the seller, you want to sell at higher price, while the buyer want to buy what? At a lower price. Now, in a situation whereby we have the higher price and the lower price, how do we rectify this? It's just okay, fine, negotiation. They start negotiating. The lessor and the lessee come together, they negotiate and adjust their rent. So in one thing we need to understand is this. We need to understand how to calculate our YP dual rate adjustable for tax. And the formula for YP dual rate adjustable for tax is this. YP dual rate tax adjusted. 1 all over I plus S times 1 all over 1 minus tax. This is the formula we are using for YP dual rate. Just use this formula, this any value you have here, use it to multiply your rent reserve or direct rent, and you have your premium from the lessee point of view. We have the lessee point of view and we have the lessor point of view. But when you do for this class, we'll be taking it one after the other. Now look at this. This S is your sinking fund. Remember when you are doing your amount of your amount of 1 naira, present value of 1 naira, the sinking fund, we're doing the calculation. The sinking fund is I all over A minus 1. Your I all over A is amount of 1 naira. 1 plus I, all raised to power n minus 1. Now if you insert this to this formula, we have 1 all over I plus I all over 1 plus I all raised to power n minus 1 times 1 all over 1 minus tax. This is your YP dual rate. 1 all over I plus I. Now this I, let's use it as I prime because this I is different from this I. Then I prime again. This I is different from this I. 1 all over I plus I prime all over 1 plus I prime all raised to power n minus 1 times 1 over 1 minus tax. That is YP dual rate adjustable for tax. Now let's have a question on this. We say YP for 6 years at 7%, 3%, and then 40%. This your tax can be 40% or 40 kobo in every naira. 1 naira is 100. A percentage is 100. So 40%. To solve this now, very simple. This is always the first I, and this is the second I. This is your N, your yes. YP dual rate adjustable for tax. 1 all over I plus I all over A 1 plus I is power N minus 1 times 1 all over 1 minus tax. Let's insert all this now. We have 1 all over this, your first I, the bigger one. 7% is 0.07 plus, now this, the sinking fund now, I is 0.03 all over this I is still 0.03. 1 plus 0.0, that will give you 1.03 all raised to power your n, which is 6, minus 1 times 1 all over 1 minus your tax. 40% is what? 0.4. 0.4. If you solve this, we have 1 all over 0.07 plus 0.03 all over 1.03 raised to power 6. 1.03 raised to 1.03 raised to power 6. That is 1.1941 minus 1 times 1 all over 1 minus 0.4 is 0.6. You will have 1 all over 0.07 plus 0.03 all over 1.1941 minus 1 is 0.1941 times 1 divided by 1 over 0.6. 1.667. So when we solve this, we have 1 all over 0.07, 0.07 plus 0.03 divided by 0.1941. 0.03 divided by, okay, 1 all over 0.07 plus 0.1546 times 1.667 with your calculator. Just give this in, use this in command. Give your calculator a command. Do this 0.07 plus 0.1546 times 1.667. Ensure that you press all this in at once. Ensure that you press all this in. But if you are not pressing it at once, that means you are following budge math. And budge math, multiplication before addition. You multiply this and this first before you add it to this. Then you now divide, you use it to divide 1. You have 3.051. I said premium can be calculated in 2 different numbers, yes or no? Sorry, this thing can be calculated in 2 different. One, if they have agreed on premium to pay, you have to determine their rent. Another one is if they agree on the rent to pay, you have to determine their what? Their premium. So now let's start with this. The first one, if they've calculated, you as a valuer, if the landlord, if the tenant and the landlord have agreed on the premium to pay, what you are expected to do is what? Is to determine the rent to pay as well. But if they have determined the rent to pay, you will be called upon to come and determine the premium to pay. That's what you are going to do. You'll be the arbitrator between both parties. Okay, pay this amount, don't pay this amount for your clients. So if the tenant has request your service, you will tell him, oh, this is the amount you have to pay. Don't pay this. But if the landlord that has require your service, you tell the landlord, collect this amount, not this amount. Now, question on premium. A lessee has been granted a 14-year lease of a shop having a net rental value of 1,500 naira per annum. He has agreed to pay 1,000 naira per annum, subject to the immediate payment of premium. Calculate the premium and assume a leasehold yield of 7%, 2.5%, and a tax liability of 40%. This question is on premium. Now it is, they have agreed on the rent to pay. You as the valuer, what are you asked to do? You are asked to find the premium to pay. Now, this question can be solved on both parties. From lessor point of view and lessee point of view. But for this, we start with the lessee point of view. Now, from the lessee point of view, before anything, analyze your question. Analysis. A lessee has been granted a 14-year lease on the shop, having a net rental value of 1,500 naira per annum. He has agreed to pay 1,000 naira per annum, subject to the immediate payment of premium. Calculate the premium and assume a leasehold yield of 7%, 2.5%, which is the sinking fund, and a tax liability of 40%. Now, before anything, what you need to understand is this. The rent to be paid has been agreed. The rental value, the rental value is equivalent to your full rental value, which is the market value. The market value is 1,500. But we have agreed, the landlord and the tenant have agreed that the tenant will pay a sum of 1,000 naira per annum as rent. Determine the premium to be paid by the tenant and determine the premium to be paid by the landlord.